Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution is to not be a raging a**hole and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get.
We need more Ryan Reynolds in our lives, do we not? I'd like to have Mint Mobile as an option for my cellular coverage.
I'd just like to see any amount of new competition because you remember when we were all as consumers going, okay, Rogers wants to take over Shaw. That doesn't seem like a good thing because I'm pretty sure prices are going to go up. And then guess what?
They
Prices
did.
are going up. Rogers has announced that it is going to start to raise the rates this year. And then you also have Bell, I think, going, well,
Everybody's going to.
Maybe we're going to raise the rates. And if Bell does it, then, TELUS is going to do it. And this is BS because we already have amongst the highest telecom prices in the freaking world.
It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And David Moscrop, who penned this column that we just showed you, is our guest and joins us now. David, thank you for being here. and I know that you are as upset about all of this as the two of us. How are you feeling?
Outrage. Well, I sort of wake up in the morning at a 6, and then I read the news, and I'm at like a 9. And then I start writing about it, the news, and then I'm at like 11. So I'm running at an 11 for a good chunk of the day. And then when I read about telco, it goes up even higher. I feel like I should be getting some cash from the public for my health, for like my blood pressure medication.
Right.
I should have like blood pressure medication paid for by the public. I guess someday I will with Universal if we ever get pharmacare in this country. But we ought to have it when we read about telco prices in this, because every couple of months we read about how we're getting hosed in this country by the telecom oligopoly, and it starts to add up over time.
Well, no kidding. So make the case, as you did in your op-ed, for dismantling that darn monopoly or oligopoly.
Well, the case is fairly simple. What we find is in countries where there's more competition, prices are lower. And choice is higher. And competition isn't the sole issue. Countries vary. It's very different to provide cell phone coverage in Western Europe or Israel, which is the cheapest per gigabyte in the world, versus, say, Canada or Australia. But not so different that competition wouldn't have an effect on prices. There are big countries that are difficult to provide service in where prices are cheaper. In fact, Canada is exponentially higher than Australia, which is often used as a comparator country. So we dismantle the oligopoly, we give Canadians choice in the marketplace, and prices go down. And incidentally, what we find, if you look at the data, in provinces where there is more competition, in the prairies, for instance, prices are lower than in provinces where there's less competition, where they're higher.
So can we put this horse back in the barn? Because we were all like, oh, what do you mean we're going to have fewer options in this country? And you're telling us that rates aren't going to go up. And the government said, no, we've checked it. We know that this is not going to happen. A same government, I might add, that wasn't it 2015, promised to bring down the cost of our cell bills? I mean, how do we fight back? Yeah.
Every election for the better part of a decade now. And prices are, a little bit better than they might have been otherwise, but we haven't got the price revolution we were promised. The government's trying to play nice with telcos. A year ago, 2 years ago, it was, well, we're going to ask nicely and see if they play ball, and if not, we're going to have to just wave through another merger, I guess, because what are you going to do? To the credit of the Competition Bureau and its head, who was just reappointed for another term, they are trying hard to rein in the telcos and introduce some competition. But the fact is that the industry has captured the government, they've captured the regulator, the CRTC, and they tend to run the show, and it's very, very hard to break up a monopoly or an oligopoly once it's established, despite the work being done by folks who want to get into the market, despite industry expert work, despite advocates who are out there busting their behinds trying to get better competition, better prices. We need more political will. Ultimately, it comes down to political will at the top. The government's got to really, really want it and go all in on it, and the Liberals, they're not there yet. They may never get there.
Well, here's the thing, though. The Liberals need a win right now. I think we could all agree. And that would be an easy one. Consumers would benefit. Yeah. It would be more money in the pocketbook. It would sort of claw that back from Pierre Poilievre, who has more successfully sort of won the pocketbook issue. Do you expect that we're going to see any movement at all, any relief for consumers in 2024?
Oh, I don't think so. I'm pretty skeptical. I think you'll see the parties start talking about it more. In fact, if you look at the industry committee, the New Democrats and the Conservatives have both said they want to see some data on this. They want to bring in some folks from the telco industry to explain this looming price increase. So the opposition is doing what it's meant to do, holding the government to account, and they're going to press hard. But we need to take it more seriously. We need to to send the message to the Liberal government that this is a priority for Canadians, and they're going to benefit if they respond to the many voters, probably millions of voters, who want to see some relief, and not just in competition. I mean, competition is one avenue. Even a state provider is an option. There's a state provider in the prairies, for instance. But structural separation is important too. In this country, the people who create the cell network, the broadband network, are the same people who provide you a service. It's very obvious what happens when you let them control both the network and the provision of the service, right? They get you coming, they get you going, you've got nowhere to go. Even people who come into the market have to buy the right to sell a service from the providers of the network providers, right? That's a bad deal. It's like a cartel, for God's sakes. We need to break it up. We got to break it up. The people who run the infrastructure can't be the same people who are providing the service. I
can't believe you said they have to gather data on the data that we're paying too much for. Like gathering data on what is clearly a gouged population here in Canada. And for those of us who can afford it, it's one thing. It's about the people who simply cannot and are going without because they're trying to afford this necessity. David, we could talk about this all day long.
You pushed a button.
You did.
With us.
We're here for it.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure, anytime.
David Moscrop. Always fun to talk to him. Still ahead, lots of bad behavior to tell you about, as always. And Vancouver gets a celebrity shout out at the Golden Globes.
I love this for us. Also, I love our viewing party. Yes, I do. So does Linda, of course. She's asked for your faces and you're delivering. Nora and Duncan, hello there.
Renee in Parksville.
There's Renee and Ruth in Saanich. Thank you for taking a photo of you watching our program.
And Shelley in West Vancouver. Good to see your faces. I
love that. The cat's too into Brad West there to be looking at us. A viewing party. You can get in on the fun at viewingparty@chekmedia.ca. It's brought to you by the BCRFA. We're back in a moment.